Welcome to Eagles Outlook, a political and current affairs program. Well, on the show this morning, we're going to be exploring all of the views and counter views and also assessing very critically and objectively the updates, and of course, the latest developments trailing the tax reform bills in Nigeria. My name is Omoefe Peace Osemere. I have my guest who will be joining us live via telephone this morning. He is an accountant and a tax practitioner, also head of tax strategies, WJ Professional Services, the person of Wale Joshua. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Joshua, can you hear me?
I can hear you well.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. But just to give a quick background. Hello? Right, can you hear me? Hello, are you there? Hello, Mr. Joshua, can you hear me? Good morning.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Good morning. All right. I think we just take a breather. Let's just try to link up with him again. And of course, the conversation would begin in earnest. Do join us again. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. This is Eagles Outlook, live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. The topic of discussion this morning is actually hinged on the governor's, support for the tax reform bills. They have, however, proposed a new VAT sharing formula, and we're just waiting to see the outcome of that proposal. In the short or long run. Well, just like I said before, that I will be having this conversation with my guest who is, expected to join us via telephone this morning. I'm still making efforts, to link up with him. He is an accountant and a tax practitioner, head of tax strategies at WJ Professional Services this morning. But just to give a quick background to the conversation this morning. All right. Good morning, Mr. Wale Joshua. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
All
Thanks.
Right. Okay, so let's quickly take a listen to the background. The Nigerian Governors Forum has been at the forefront of advocating for tax reform in Nigeria, and the current tax system has been criticized for being inefficient, leading to significant revenue losses for state government. Well, in response, the NGF has proposed the new value-added tax, that's the VAT sharing formula, which aims to ensure equitable distribution of resources among states. Now, the forum has, undoubtedly thrown its weight behind the proposed tax reform bills, which are currently being considered by the National Assembly. Now, the proposed VAT sharing formula allocates 50% of VAT revenue based on equality, 30% based on derivation, and 20% based on population. The governors have rejected the federal government's proposal to increase VAT from 7.5% to 10%. Instead, they have advocated for the continued exemption of essential goods and agricultural produce from the value-added tax. Now, this actually made it to, the front pages of Nigerian newspapers this morning. I don't know if you already took a look at the Nigerian newspapers for today, Mr. Wale Joshua, but this seems to be, the big news story across Nigerian newspapers today. And it's just to tell you how important this particular subject matter is. And it's also safe to say that this is one issue that is on the front burner at the moment as we speak, despite the fact that we have the budget defense, going on at this point in time. Now, I'd like to share with you a personal story of a Nigerian taxpayer who spoke anonymously, to this particular subject matter. In his words, I quote, "I am glad to hear that the governors are pushing for tax reform. As a taxpayer, I feel that the current system is unfair and inefficient. I hope that the proposed VAT sharing formula will bring about a more equitable distribution of resources." Now, Wale Joshua, to start the conversation this morning, I mean, a number of Nigerians have been sharing their 2 cents. People have been expressing their reservations with this, tax reform bills. And it looks like we are actually divided, across different regions as far as this tax reform bills is concerned. But for you, as a tax, a practitioner, what exactly is, the takeaway for you from Nigerians, especially as this tax reform bills is concerned? Is it really a case of, ensuring equitable distribution of resources, or what are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. It has been a popular headline on the newspapers and every news media. We thank the Nigeria Governors Forum for finding a common ground between the federal government and the subnational government. The proposal to redirect what the sharing formula is, the derivative formula is, I think it's a welcome development, and it's a kind of common ground between the two. So what suffers it is the population which reduced by 10%. That complements the derivation by 30%, which solves some governors' clamor, like the governor of Rivers State clamoring for self-determination of VAT collection. I think that is okay, but what the Governors Forum failed to look at is the fact that federal government gave a consensus on CIT, common income tax, for 27.5%, because they want to harmonize other taxes. So the Nigerian Governors Forum, as of today, left the other taxes by increasing the percentage to 4% from 3% education tax, which Naseni and Mixda and the other side doesn't concern all the companies. So if that is the case, we have successfully increased that to 4%, while still increasing CIT to 30% by maintaining the status quo. So that's a point that they left out. When you are changing the model, you change the model completely. You don't change it half. When you change it half, you may be leaving some salient points out. It's a good one, keeping the VAT constant at 7.5%, because of the untold hardship it will create on common man. I thought when they were clamoring, they left that out, but I thank God that they later came back to that. That as it may, the tax law has been a good one and has considered many other things, but we have some reservations that we still need to put on the desk. And I think that will be taken fair and square when House of Representatives and House of Senate, the Senate House, when they put their public hearing to bear. I believe that most of these things will be trashed out and will be well addressed. But it's a good one having a forward leap on this particular issue. That means that the tax law has come to stay, and the budget has a base for it to stand. Because most of the assumptions of the budget, they stand on the tax on this particular tax assumption, which has taken care of equity, equality, and even simplicity in computation, and even some other things. But there are many things that this tax bill left out.
All right.
Part of which is tax refund and tax credits. Okay. You told me that if I'm earning below 800,000, I'll be paying zero rated tax. That means I'll be paying tax at 0%. So if that is the case, what happens to a man that woke up saying Happy New Year in January? By March, his employer sacked him or her because of economic downturn. Mm-hmm. How do we give a credit? How do we give a refund? Or that one is gone. What happens to a company that found itself as a large company at the beginning of the year, because taxes are computed annually, but events are monitored monthly, taxes are paid monthly? What happens to a company that found itself as a large company earning above 50 million? And at the end of the day, it came back to 50 million. What happens to them? Will they get tax credits or tax rebates? So that will take us back to infrastructure and government giving back to its citizens. Government giving back to its citizens through safety nets and through tax refunds. That is number one. It's not always forward. Government should equally look back. And tax, as you know, is a means for government to get revenue into government purse. So if they are taking much from the citizens and the purchasing power is not even speaking well to the citizens, that means we have to look at the social safety net, which takes care of health, education, and many other things. And we have to look at how we provide infrastructure. An average Nigerian citizen provide almost everything for himself. Even if you are going to be guided on the streets, you have to pay for the security to guide you. You have to pay for infrastructure. That means you have to tidy your road up. So pending when we are waiting for government to beef up its own infrastructural drive, kudos to Minister Wiki. He has been doing quite well in Abuja. But can the same thing be repeated of other commissioners in the state or of other governors within the state? So pending when they will fix their infrastructure well, how will the poor breathe? Let the poor breathe. So we have many other things that has been left uncatered for. The tax bill is itself very good because it has created an office of the ombudsman. If you have a complaint, you can complain directly to your ombudsman. But what will be the cost of this ombudsman? Who will pay the cost of this ombudsman? How will they appoint an ombudsman? Will it be an arbitration process or a non-legal process? If it's a non-legal process, what is its state within the legal hierarchy? Can it be tenable at the tax appeal tribunal? If you are tendering it at the tax appeal tribunal, that means it's having a power lower than tax appeal tribunal. That means it becomes a law on its own. So we are waiting for it to unfold, for events to unfold itself. Right. So it's a good one, and we commend the governors for conceding their own point. Why we await the federal government to harmonize their own point and bring it to bill again.
All right. Indeed, this has been a bone of contention for quite some time now, and one is just wondering what brought about this change. For these governors, because I know that the governors have been divided before now, but to hear from the NGF, throwing their weight behind this bill, what do you think may have triggered this change? In terms of being receptive towards this tax reform bills, aside the fact that they have actually faulted the revenue sharing formula, the VAT sharing formula. I beg your pardon.
It's a product of good bargain. I believe that a lot have gone under through the collective bargain and discussion between the federal government, the tax committee, and the subnationals themselves. So, and I believe that the committee they've met the governors, made them see the benefits of bringing this on board and selling this to them. They equally reiterate the president's stance on not withdrawing the bill, rather amending the bill to suit and to cater for whatsoever observations that any of the governors may put on board, any observations that they may throw on board. So I think the stance of the president on not withdrawing the bill helped the bill, because if you withdraw the bill, it means that you have to reshape it for some months before representing it to the National Assembly. Then it will take them to another two sittings, another two readings before you can make any progress on it. So for now, I believe that it's a product of collective bargaining and negotiations, which the stance of the president should be commended. And I think the use of technology by the proposed use of technology by the tax bill has given the governors confidence because it will lead to more information gathering, it will lead to harmonization of the tax laws, and it will lead to more revenue. This reform of any tax law is all about government revenue. Don't let us deceive ourselves.
All right.
It's all about bringing more to government box. So whether in any guise or whether in the guise of making it equal or equitable, it doesn't mean. Tax is meant to bring more revenue to government. So leveraging on technology in widening the scope of the tax net, I think is what gave the governors a bait. And seeing that most of the administrative process will be taken care by the federal government, made them concede to this, and they feel like, okay, let's give it a try. Why we look at expanding our revenue base. So I think the governors are better of it because they are getting more instead of 35% plus the local government share, which is 55%, proposed 55%, which is in total 85%. At least they're gaining more on that. So it's a good one, looking at the revenue and looking at the gains from administrative burden, which will be shifted to the federal government, because the tax bill will create a revenue service, which is for the federation. The revenue service will now shoulder the burden of the subnationals. So if that is the case, why won't I surrender my revenue service to the federal government while I wait at the end of the month to collect my own portion of whatsoever they collect on my behalf,
all right,
making the technology a good one for me.
Okay. Well, Joshua, the next question I have in mind to ask you would be the fact, I mean, you said something about expanding, the tax net by way of generating, more revenue, which, of course, I mean, analysts have actually tagged a good thing or a step in the right direction. But isn't that quite too ambitious, especially looking at the economic reality on ground?
Yes, it is too ambitious, but it will bring the reality to bear if it is equitably used. What I mean by if it is equitably used is that it's easier for government to target the poor because they have they have little knowledge and they have no strength of getting things done on the phone. I mean of calling people and telling them that this is what I want, this is what I'm experiencing.
Right.
So if they can make it cut across board, and whatsoever applies to the poor will apply to the rich, I believe that it's a good one, because we'll be forced to look at our tax rates. By the time you are taxed right and correctly, you will know that this tax rate is actually high, and we will be able to put it up that you have to do something on the tax rates. And on the technology, I will advise the federal government and whoever is at the helms to tread carefully so that privacy of the citizens will not be trampled upon, because it's easier to get information from the banks, from the land registry, from international agencies about the income of a citizen. Mm-hmm. But what about other information that you get without soliciting for it? So we should be careful who handles our revenue, who go through our ledgers, who go through our privacy. What is the implication on the citizens? What will be the implication on the general public? So we should tread cautiously while we expect that information sharing between the agencies and between the intercompany and between businesses and individuals can help the government in making sure that income is well reported on each books of their taxpayers. Aside that, aggressive tax may be detrimental to the country.
Okay. Thank you very much for that submission that aggressive tax would be detrimental, to the country. And that is probably coming from a place of, the economic, reality on ground. That we are faced with, today in Nigeria. Now, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, for example, has actually, committed itself, saying that they would work closely with the Nigerian Governors Forum to ensure that the proposed VAT sharing formula is implemented effectively. And according to FIRS, they believe that this formula will increase revenue generation and reduce tax evasion. How do we juxtapose, the importance or the significance of these tax reform bills, to tax evaders in Nigeria? I mean, we've had recorded history of tax evaders in Nigeria with little or nothing being done to address this trend.
Well, when it comes to tax evasion, it depends on how the tax system is being strengthened, and it depends on how it depends on how the accounts department of each entity. I call it entity now because it may be an individual of each entity is strengthened, so that they know what they would benefit from and what they will not benefit from. So the government should look at the incentive process. Apart from the incentives process, should look at the incentives that are being given to the big boys. How does it cumulate to tax generation? How does the pioneer status given to companies cumulate? How does it affect the tax generation? Does it justify the investment brought on board? How does the tax holiday, import duty waivers, how does it cumulate to this? All these incentives are not at the beck and call of the common man. It is for the big boys. So how do we make sure that we plug that at the board? So those are the first thing. The other one is, how do we generate our information? I think leveraging on banking platform may help in making sure that all income are being declared rightly, and the use of other devices like BVN and national identification number will help, and as well as looking at GPS. So if you are doing any transaction, where is the GPS? Which signal is the GPS giving? Where is the origin, the point of origin of the income? Where is it end? Is it end in Lagos? Is it end in Bauchi? Is it end in Port Harcourt? It depends on where the GPS, where it's propped up. Apart from GPS, where is the company located? Apart from where is the company located, we have many other things. Where is the housing sector? Where is it located? So that gives the governor another wake-up call to make sure that their properties are being registered, and the coordinate location of each building, each residential address is being well coordinated, like what we have in the developed countries. Right. So we are looking at leveraging on technology. If you don't leverage on technology, we cannot make much progress on tax generation. There will be a lot of tax evasion. So company reports company, entity reporting entity, and transaction reporting transaction is the way to go. What I mean by this is that the revenue generating agency should create a robust platform where what I'm paying to you is being described. Is it an income to you? What is it to you? Then it will be very difficult for you to deny. Then if I want to report it as an income to you, I'm paying you an income. How does it affect me? Because if I'm reporting that I'm giving you salary, that means my own salary is tax exempted on my record. So if I don't report it as I'm giving you salary, it becomes a burden on me because it becomes taxable in my hand. So we may look at that, and a robust withholding tax system may be done to make sure that entities and transactions will be reported at the point of payment, not at the point of receipt. All so right. If we can do that, I believe that Nigeria will be better for it.
Okay. Now, Wale Joshua, let's look at the implications of this, proposed VAT sharing formula for state governments who are really, they have a lot really on their shoulders in terms of generating revenue. Within these states. How do we even strike a balance for states that are somewhat underdeveloped and the inability to generate revenue is huge? compared to states that are quite productive and very developed. I mean, the level of economic activity or activities, as it were, going on in these states is actually top notch. How do we really strike a balance and ensure equity at the end of the day?
The 50% has taken care of the equality, and the derivation has taken care of the equity. When we talk about equity, it depends on how they depend on the infrastructure of that state. Because for the fact that I'm earning VAT, but for the fact that I'm paying VAT means that some facilities might have suffered greatly for it. My road, my water system, my electricity system have suffered for it. So that is being catered for by derivation. Right. And by equality, which means that I may be in Abuja today, I may relocate to Niger State tomorrow. I will be a beneficiary of the potholes that are between Abuja and Niger State. So that means every state must be well taken care of. God forbid that if anything happens to anybody in Niger State and is coming from Abuja, that doesn't mean that doctors in Niger State will not attend to that person. And facilities in Niger State will be used in taking care of that person in Niger State. So equality has taken care of that. While the population, I think, is used to redistribute income. So state governors should brace up and should do the right thing. Should make sure they put the right square, the right people in the hands of affairs to deliver the best for the state, which will be good for all of us in Nigeria. So it's not a question of how much is the state earning. It's a question of how is Nigeria developing. So if we develop at the same rate, I believe that it's good for us. And rural urban migration from Yobe to Abuja will be reduced. Migration from Ekiti to Lagos will be reduced. Because if Lagos is better, people in Ekiti will troop into Lagos to benefit from the infrastructure. So it's good that we maintain this on equity level. So let's talk about the states that are not developed as of today.
Right.
What the other proposed bill wanted to do is to instigate productivity. So at this point, when derivation has carried 30%, in order for you to benefit more on over and above equity and population, I believe that you should do production. And what Dangote Refinery is teaching us is that it's not good to be an extractive based entity. Rather, be an extractive processing before you sell. So if people in that state, if they can establish companies, if they can establish small and medium scale entities, I believe that they can earn more on this VAT, considering the derivative whatsoever they do. Extractive industry and farming doesn't pay VAT, but when you process it, you earn more on VAT from that point. If you extract any crude oil, if you extract anything from the ground, you may not pay VAT on it, you pay royalty on it rather. So instead of you getting royalty only, you can as well go forward to processing it. After processing it, you sell it to wherever you think they need it, and they will benefit from it. What's the essence of producing cotton in a state and shipping it to any other state to go and process to textile, when you know that you will not earn VAT on cotton, you only earn VAT on textiles? So why not turn it to textile? If you know that your sugar refinery will be good in Niger State, why not go to Lapai and develop and take your sugarcane plantation, convert it to sugar there? So that is the way to go, and that is the revised technology that we need in each of these states. I believe that it's time for all the states to roll up their sleeves and to ensure that many things are being done. I appreciate the fact that there was a reduction on population. So it's not the number of children that I have in the family that will bring in income to me. This has been repeated on the PIT, the PIT side of the bill, because most of the dependent relative allowance, the children allowance, have been removed. They've given us 220 or 20% for rental allowance, even not the consolidated revenue. So even if you start giving back from now to tomorrow, it doesn't have any tax implication again. It only has the voter's card implication. So it's better that we look at the productivity. How do we produce? How do we make sure that we produce and process? So if these states can process and produce, they will be better off in terms of that, because there is pride, there is dignity in hard work. Apart from dignity in hard work, many things have been provided, because you may complain that we don't have capital, but on the basis of equality and equity, you've got equality and population, you've gotten much capital to establish companies and to make sure that the state is running. Okay. So you don't process, you don't cut your trees without turning it to plank, without turning it to sellable planks. So let them look at how they can do this. I believe that federal government can assist in doing that, like it has assisted Niger State in getting farms that we invest in Niger State and put in foreign direct investment in the state. Right. I believe that it's better they link up with other agencies, both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria.
Okay, Wale Joshua, I mean, we know that there are states that have been ravaged, by insecurity, in recent times. And don't you think that would be a huge, bottleneck for states who wants to ensure, a very heightened level of productivity at the end of the day?
So that is where the state police comes in. I know that a lot of things are coming in chains. So coming in chains means that the federal government needs to buckle up its efforts in making sure that state securities are in place. So apart from that, we call on our military personnel to equally step up their game, which we must commend the fact that they've been doing that. If not for them, we'll have had it worse than this. So it's really a challenge on our own part, and I think it's a factor of what is under our feet, because what we may link this insecurity to may be extraction of gold in Zamfara region, and escalation of it, which made ransom collection, which made it so difficult, which made it lucrative. So if we are looking at this, we should come up with good force, a brute force, and we cannot come up with brute force without manning the unmanned land, unmanned territories. And nobody can man the unmanned territories better than the state governors, better than the local government chairmen. They can man it well. They know where the unmanned territories are. They know the visitors among themselves. They can pull them out and they can give them one for their money. Okay. This came from within their environment, so they know the firepower they have. They know they know what they have. They know the juju that they have. So it's not like they don't know each other. So they can give them head on. And they can tackle this insecurity at hand. We give it to the federal government. That is on their desk to solve.
All right, Wale Joshua, I'd like you to hold your thoughts. We're due for a commercial break, and when we return, we'll also open the studio lines, for the listener or the audience out there who are probably itching to ask, one or two questions as far as this tax reform bills, is concerned. You probably will be in the best position to address, some of the concerns bothering their minds. This is Eagles Outlook, live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Do join us after this quick timeout.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello Nigeria. Hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's one-year diploma in certified nursing assistant training, happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-550-45801. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio station, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area, eh?
Do you
think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Has anyone told you you can talk about your business on radio for just
20,000 naira?
Get a chance to talk your business for 25 minutes on The Entrepreneur. Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. For more inquiries, call 090-9984-4433. 090-9984-4433. Hurry now.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
All right, we're back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is Eagles Outlook live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. And the topic or the focus this morning is on the tax reform bills and, of course, the proposal by the state, Nigerian governors, for a new VAT sharing formula. All right, and I've been speaking with a tax practitioner and also an accountant who doubles as the head of tax strategies at WJ Professional Services, Wale Joshua. Thank you so much for staying on the line.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Dear listener, at this juncture, you can call in to share your thoughts with us as to what you make of the topic of discussion this morning. If you have questions bordering your mind, a number of you always express, your concerns with regards to this tax reform bills, especially during the Pages segment, of the Eagles Morning Rise Breakfast Show. I think now that we have a tax practitioner in the studios, your questions, would be very well addressed. So call in now. Let's hear from you what your thoughts are. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, FM.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where you're calling
from? Good morning, and good morning to your guest, Felix from Lambert.
Felix, good to have you. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Guests have spoken extensively on the issue of tax reform and what the governors are agitating for. Also, you see, some of these reforms that are in play by this present administration are not really having human faith. I think that is where most of us, the average Nigerians, are concerned. Yes, reforms are good. Without reforms, we can't make progress. But reforms should come with human faith. Reforms should come in a way that all of us can accommodate this reform and grow with the reforms and get a better result. When they talk about tax reforms and part of the population is saying, no, we are not properly educated on it. Like the guests have explained now, some of us are getting insight into what the benefits, the good benefits that will come with this tax reform. And I'm also pleading with the government to consult more and to rub mind with the people that are still doubting this reform. Have patience. Nobody knows it all. You can't just come and impose, because one thing is constant, and that is change. And Nigerians have this way of resisting change because they don't understand. But by the time you get them to understand, you explain issues to them, and they will move along with you. So it's a good one. So I'm also pleading with the governor to reason with the federal government and see the gray areas and see how they can iron out those gray areas so we can move forward with this reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Felix. Joshua, please, I'd like you to listen very carefully to the observations, right? From the listener or listeners, as it were, so you can react to them, right?
Okay.
The number to call this morning to be part of the conversation is 0907 353-0044. You can send a message, just a message, to the WhatsApp portal on 0909 705 4450. Let us hear from you, really, what your thoughts are. And of course, if at all the analysis of my guest, actually clarifies, some of the questions bothering your mind. But if not, please do well to ask, those questions by calling in, for us to hear from you. It's indeed important for Nigerians to really understand the concept of this tax reform bills, because quite frankly, Wale Joshua, if you can hear me, a number of Nigerians actually think that this tax reform bills, won't bring about much change, desired change for Nigeria and the nation's economy. And this is somewhat connected to the economic reforms and policies of the President Tinubu-led administration. And for some Nigerians, these reforms have not really brought about meaningful changes or development in our country. But let's take this question real quickly from the WhatsApp portal. Abbas, reporting from Dutse, I guess, says, good morning, Omoefe. Please, my question to your guest would be that I've been paying over 3,000 naira every day from my from financial transactions on my business. Okay. Being deducted, I beg your pardon, from every 10,000 naira transfer. Okay, so you have been paying 3,000 naira every day from every 10,000 naira transfer. So this contributor is asking that he would like to know what kind of taxation is this? The 3,000 naira is being, deducted from every 10,000 naira transfer. All right, and then he's gone further to ask, how do we benefit, from this money being taken from us every day? 3,000 naira from every 10,000 naira transfer is really outrageous and quite strange. But
something is wrong somewhere.
Right.
He should go and lodge a serious complaint, because even if he is a company, if he is a limited liability company, he can't pay 30%. He can't pay 30% of his direct income as tax. So part of what we are calling on government to look at is the stamp duty payment, which is 50 naira on every transaction that is more than 10,000, not even 10,000, not even continuously. If it is more than 10,000, you pay the 50 naira once, and every other thing is bank charges, which you may need to settle with your bank or with your financial institution. So that, I believe, at the time that they peg the amount as at 10,000 naira, the value of 10,000 naira, what 10,000 naira can buy as of that day is less than what 10,000 naira of today can buy. What I mean is that the value has gone down. Similarly, the base value for that 50 naira should have been increased. If you say 10,000 naira for every 50 naira, for every stamp duty, what happens to me going back to the bank to collect more 10,000 naira, or what I buy as 5,000 naira in those days are now bought at 10,000 naira? Does it mean that I have to pay for the inflation? I have to pay for that. So those are the gray areas which we are looking at government to review. To increase maybe to 20,000 to 50,000, depending on the prevailing inflation rate. Inflation rate has gone up, but the 10,000 naira still remain constant, and the base payment still remains constant. So we are looking at reviewing that and getting back to us on that. So for our listener, he should approach his own financial institution and get explanation on what is transpiring on his account.
Okay. 09087668888 or 09073530044 are the numbers that you can actually call to be part of the conversation, and you can send a voice note or a message to us. Not a voice note now, just a message to the WhatsApp portal on 090-9705-4450. Turkin Behundu is asking, he says, good morning, if I'm in Nasarawa State. I greet your guest. My question is, I hope one of the clauses in this tax reform bill doesn't grant the powers to a private company to collect taxes on behalf of the federal government, like Alpha Beta is collecting in Lagos State. Let's take a listen to this person as well. Hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Honorable Edward. I'm calling from Nepal.
Good to have you, Honorable Edward. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate our guest. Yeah, he's doing a good job there. You see, this is what I was saying in the morning, and this is what I always say. You know, I am not a tax man. I am not an economist. I have no idea about that, except the military one. But when you see people giving us, there's really a way for giving us this type of information, like this, we get to know more. So National Assembly is not our major problem. Let's take it this way, with this gate explanation, if this bill was just passed away, because the governors are right. The governors are not saying this bill is bad. They are not saying it's controversial. What stop National Assembly from doing the right thing by going into public hearing, consulting like this man that is with us now. They should have taken the man as the consultant on this particular bill. They have money for that. I want the National Assembly for years, so I know what is there.
All right.
I'm not the people that they will give that input, because this is where the new sharing formula is going to create just a very serious issue. It's not controversial at all. But all of us need to put input. So I appreciate this outing today.
All right.
And I wish you can come back again. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Edward from Apo. Okay. I really don't think we can take more calls, because we've got a sponsored program coming up in 2 minutes. So, you have just 2 minutes to react to the contributions that have been made. And another question, I mean, if you can just answer that very briefly, would be whether or not this tax reform bills, in its generality, is pro-poor and not anti-poor.
The selling point of the tax bill is that it's the pro-poor and not anti-poor. What we need them to do is to be sincere. One of those reasons why people didn't trust this tax bill is the fact that our president is developmentally oriented. I mean, he's a capitalist. He's coming from the private sector background. So they believe that something must have been served in the burger, which may not be palatable. So that's why everybody dusted that tax bill and started reading it. I've never seen alphabet on the tax bill. So possibly, maybe they may come in as a consultant in terms of tax policy or whatsoever. But I've not seen it as of today on the bill, and I believe that it will not come in. And we have almost 106 senators and almost 360 reps, and they cannot be looking at what is detrimental to the citizens to be imported through the bill. So I believe that we are in safe hands. Let us just trust the government, and let us tell them that we are surrendering our trust to them. We are surrendering our own AK-47 to them so that we will be safe. They should keep us safe. We are surrendering our infrastructure to them so that we can get infrastructure. We are surrendering our ability to provide infrastructure, ability to provide electricity to them by giving them this tax. So they should return it back to us in terms of infrastructure and in terms of development that we are yearning for. We cannot vote a kind of President Tinubu into power and expect that there won't be infrastructural development and economic development. And we may not be able to get economic development without contributing to it. That we will not be able to get. But government should remember that they've taken subsidy, they've taken exchange rates, and they are looking at tax. They should be fair enough to us. Let the poor equally breathe and enjoy. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you very much, Wale Joshua. I mean, you've said it all, but just to add to it, I mean, one would say that, as far as this proposed VAT sharing formula, would have significant implications for state government and taxpayers, it's also important to note that allocating 50% of VAT revenue based on equality, this formula aims to ensure that all states receive a fair share of resources. But again, the big elephant in the room would always be the implementation of this formula and, proper monitoring and evaluation of the whole process to ensure that it is effective and equitable. We may have to, call on you in the days to come, Wale Joshua, to also analyze, events or updates that would definitely emanate from this particular subject matter. But thank you so much for, talking to us on the show this morning.
You're welcome, everything.
All right. Well, Wale Joshua is an accountant and tax practitioner. He is also the head of tax strategies at WJ Professional Services. To everyone who shared, their 2 cents on the show this morning, those who couldn't take their calls because of time, thank you so much for spending part of your time with us. And to also Francis Namani, a religious, listener, thank you so much. We see your contribution on the Facebook page, but I'm afraid we can't go any further. Thank you all so much. I'd like to state very clearly that the views expressed on the show this morning were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Good morning.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Welcome to the studios. With me here today is Engineer Emmanuel David of EC